Okay, what up, friendos? Welcome back. I didn't think we'd be back so soon with more the day before shenanigans. I thought they'd just gone away. Obviously, they announced they'd closed their studio 2 days ago. The day before officially died, right? Because they turned off the servers. And yet here we are with a Twitter post from a company who said that they've closed their studio, basically telling a whole bunch of lies, just a whole bunch of Billy Bull. Has it been 30 seconds yet? A whole bunch of Billy bullshit. So we're going to go over this because they're actually calling me out in this post. Myself and people like Big Fry, people that made videos about the day before, Force Gaming, etc., etc. Pretty much all content creators, I think, other than the one that they name. So here we go. Recently, a lot of misinformation has emerged, and they love misinformation, although before they did use disinformation, which is interesting. On the internet from supposedly anonymous sources, Fantastic provides an official response to these statements. Anonymous people allege that we deceived players. Now, I don't know what they're referring to here with anonymous sources. I'll tell you right now, as somebody who used my eyes, my ears, and my brain to witness what the day before was supposed to be and was advertised as, and then what it launched as. You did deceive players. I'm sorry to be the fucking bearer of bad news, because I don't have a Guy Fawkes mask on right now claiming that this is true. You did. You said the game would be an open world zombie survival MMO. It was not. You showed trailers with a bunch of stuff like climbing over stuff, destructible terrain, good graphics, gameplay, and all those things weren't in the game. So I'm not sure who they're referring to or what specific point, but here we go. We worked hard and honestly on the game for 5 years. We didn't take a penny from users until you did. Didn't use crowdfunding and didn't offer pre-orders. Even after the game was closed, we, together with the publisher, returned money to all players. This is very important to prove that they're lying before we move on to the other lies that they tell while saying it's all misinformation, including forcibly issuing refunds to those who did not request them. How many companies return money like that? How many companies need to return money like that? Better question. We are not a fly-by-night company. Just abandon all your products like a fly-by-night company. Abandon your game in 5 days. We've been operating since 2015 and have always conducted our business honestly. Okay, so let's talk about this word you've just used, honesty. So bear in mind, they say here, we returned all money to players. You know, we didn't take the money and run. How many companies would return money like this? When they announced they were closing the studio, this is what they said. Unfortunately, the day before has failed financially and we lack the funds to continue. Underline this here. All income received is being used to pay off debts to our partners. What do they mean by all income? Bear in mind, they've just told you they didn't take money for pre-orders, they didn't do crowdfunding, but they did sell the game, which is the only income their company had from the game. And then they said after they'd closed, 5 days after the game came out, they were using that income to pay off debts to their partners. So there was no mention of a refund here. Not a fucking word in their official statement regarding them closing their studio 5 days after launch. So obviously it wasn't their decision. They didn't go, we're really good guys, we are, so we're giving everyone all their money back. No, you were backed into that position. Don't act as if you're the fucking benevolent, people who came forward and said, yeah, those 100,000+ copies that we got according to leaks, we're going to give up people all the money back. This is what we like to refer to as a lie, and it's all public information. You don't need Anonymous to tell you about this one. Anonymous people allege that we deceived the investor. Now, obviously, people have said this. I don't know where this is coming from. I've not seen any sources on it whatsoever. I don't know if this is true, and I can't speak to it because this is not something publicly available. This is not true. We still have a great relationship with our publisher. The closure of the day before did not affect our partnership. Since 2021, we've had a New Zealand venture called My Tone of Fantastic and a successful game, Prop Night, which has sold almost 1 million copies. Prop Night also co-financed the development of the day before. Now, I just want to show you the leaks from the day before, from their CEO's own words, because again, it's not really difficult to catch them in something. Here's Gotovtsev, probably not pronounced your name right, sorry about that one. The game failed financially and did not pay off. The result is even worse than that of Prop Night. So you're going to say, we've had a successful game called Prop Night. Closing Prop Night, of course, doesn't make any money. We've said it's a failure, and we've closed it at the same time that we closed our studio and the day before. If you think that is success, I don't know what to tell you, brother. It's not really how I'm measuring it. Anonymous forum employees tell different stories about the development. So this is a cracker, guys. We're unsure whether these employees are real or not. Off to a fucking great start. But we had excellent relationships with our team. Obviously not what has been reported multiple times. Despite being a small indie company with a limited budget, we assisted employees with relocation and healthcare and helped some of them to buy equipment and with their mortgages and other personal matters. I can't speak to whether this is true or not. We offered an extra non-working day off each month, vacation pay, and timely salary payments, along with the option of working remotely. Our low churn rate and the fact that half of those who left returned to the company demonstrate our positive work environment. Now, I don't know how you can simultaneously say we have a low churn rate, but also half the people who left the company did return. Maybe I'm getting mixed in the weeds a little bit here. Maybe obviously this has been translated into English, but it seems like there's a little bit of something there. 100% of the team did everything they could to make the day before a success. Apparently, by all accounts, it's not the developers that are the problem. It's you, the brothers, the people who are probably writing this message. They are the problem. Who made money on the day before? Here we go. Certain bloggers made huge money by creating false content with huge titles from the very beginning to gain views and followers, exploiting the lack of information about the game's development. Now, obviously, I guess I'm classed in here as being one of these creators who created false content. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I assume they mean that it's, lying or whatever. The game having a lack of information is your fault. You had ample opportunity to fill in the blanks there by showing people the game when they were asking, by letting people play the game when you promised they could play the game in a beta, but you didn't. Their actions triggered a gold rush among content creators due to the game's pre-release popularity. Yeah, gold rush was the day before. That's what it was. Why do they say that the released game is not the same as that in the trailers, and why was the game closed? Right. Fucking strap yourself in, guys. This is a real bumpy ride. So we implemented everything shown in the trailers. No, you didn't. From home improvements and a detailed world to off-road vehicles, we only disabled a few minor features like parkour due to bugs, but plan to include them in the full release. You never even told us it wasn't the full release. You never mentioned early access for the entire game's history, right up until 10 days before the game released. And then you're like, oh, early access, by the way. And also, it's a contradiction to say we implemented everything shown in the trailers and then one sentence later say, except for the things we didn't, which then is not everything in the trailers, is it? Just common sense, guys. I can help you with this one. So remember the experiment where you're asked to count pink objects in a room and then recall the blue ones. You won't remember any. It's all about focus. I might not be able to remember fucking pink or blue objects, but I can remember all the times that you misrepresented information, lied, and I can show them like I've just done it with great ease because, spoiler alert, I'm making a full movie length documentary style video on the day before right now. So it's all fresh in the memory. So maybe I can't recall the blue and pink objects, but I can recall your bullshit. So the negative bias instilled by certain bloggers making money on hate affected perceptions of the game. Now, the perceptions of the game were created by what you did, whether they're negative or positive. This is true about everything in life. Perceptions are impacted and affected by things that people do. And obviously with the day before, it's not like people were saying things that weren't true. They were saying things that were based on what you were doing. So they didn't create hate out of nothing. If people didn't feel that way, this wouldn't have happened. It's very simple. When New World was not released yet, I made a whole bunch of content about New World, a whole bunch of content about how the alpha was a mess, about how the game wasn't doing very well, about how the development was not going great, and how the game was going to have problems. I got, mercilessly shit on by that community because their perception was everything's going fine because the game looks really good. You can't just create a narrative out of thin air if other people oppose it. I was right in the end, of course, aged like fucking fine wine, like many of the other things I've said. But you obviously can't say that people created hate based on nothing. It's just silly. So look at unbiased gameplay like Dr. Disrespect stream at release. Despite the initial bugs and server issues, he liked the game, which we fixed later, and the game received improved reviews over the weekend. Unfortunately, the hate campaign had already inflicted significant damage. I'm going to tell you something, guys, that's very simple. When you look at a graph of player numbers for a game, I don't know how much power you think influencers have, and content creators and YouTubers and Twitch streamers, but I'm going to tell you right now the amount of power that they don't have. And that is this. This graph is not created by content creators not liking your game. It just isn't. Because if it was just the content creators, the review score wouldn't look like this. People wouldn't have bought the game. People wouldn't have refunded the game. People wouldn't have logged off. If I log on to Fortnite right now and say, this game's terrible, or any new game, if I logged on Palworld day one when it released and inform my audience, this game's awful, and yet the player numbers kept going up and people playing the game enjoyed it and left good reviews, do you think my content would drive people away from it, or people would tell me I'm an idiot and go and play the game and stop watching my videos? I'll tell you which one it is, and it's the fucking second one. People would stop watching my videos, they'd say I don't know what I'm talking about, and they would play the game, the numbers would go up, the reviews would look good, and any kind of like bandwagoning of hate or whatever else you want to fucking cope with it as would make no difference. It would just discredit the people making it. But when review scores go down over time and player numbers drop like a fucking rock within days, to the point where 5 days into the game you have 1,000 players concurrently, down from 38,000, your game is the problem, and blaming other people just goes to show you've not learned anything. You've taken away no lesson from this, because it's so easy to blame other people for your failures, but they are just that. They're yours. You are the failure in this conversation. So obviously that's complete bullshit. One person also, Dr. Disrespect is so much bigger than every other content creator that made videos about this game, and yet you can simultaneously say the content creators that made negative content killed the game, but the biggest content creator who gave it a platform and liked the game, allegedly, haven't watched his stream, but he didn't keep playing it, by the way, did he? He played it that one day for a few hours, didn't keep playing it, didn't like it that much, did he? But obviously, simultaneously, the smaller content creators killed the game with negative perception. The biggest content creator couldn't salvage any players for the game and keep it alive. Nah, mate, not how it works, does it? Use your fucking brain. By the way, after sales closed, many people wrote to us that bloggers had deceived them and they liked the game and they asked for access. So I'm sure some people did. I still had people tell me they liked the game. But again, some people liking a game that isn't very good is not anything new. People like bad things all the time. Sometimes it just resonates with you or whatever else. This is not an indictment of the majority opinion. I'll say it as I always do. Some people love when women put on high heels and stamp on their balls. Does that mean I think that's a good pastime and that it's going to get stellar reviews and great player numbers? No, most people don't like that. So to say some people liked it, great. You do know there's sex acts like a Cleveland steamer and things like that. People like some weird shit, figuratively and literally. We also heard that petitions were created to continue development. It's a shame all these people that loved your game didn't play the fucking thing then, or not refund it. And on the black market, okay, they're selling organs. No, they're selling the day before codes. The game's price exceeded $200, and some even began to make their own mods. Great, there you go then. Game stellar, amazing, 10 out of 10. Some people made mods, and the price point of $200 is a meme. People aren't buying it because they want the game. They want it because it's a piece of history. The Day Before is one of the worst games to ever reach mainstream consciousness. That's just a fact. Most bad games exist and then go away and nobody notices because they don't get on the front page of Steam. They don't get on the most wish list on Steam. They don't get talked about by content creators. They come and they go and nobody knows any different. The day before is different because people saw the game, they noticed that it existed, and then, you know, negatively reviewed it because it was bad, and you closed in 5 days. And I will, again, I just want to clear this up real quick. I'll just finish this. We're grateful to all senders of mails who express support and appealed not to give up and to continue to work. You've got no money, so you can't do that. Unfortunately, you can't pay developers and eat from support unless it's financial. Finally, we encourage you to subscribe to our social networks to know what will happen next. I can speak on that. Apparently, they're developing another game. They closed their studio. They're still posting on social media, blaming other people. They're making a new game. That's what's from behind the scenes. They're, according to some sources from Poland and Russia, they have maintained some of their development staff and they're making another game, which is, bear in mind, guys, they're just lying, bro. From any common sense perspective, look at the timeline. 5 days after game launch, we've got no money, we've got to close our studio. Oh, but we're making another game. Our publisher relationship's great. We're still posting on our social media. What I will say is that you had the platform for this game to do well. I'm not joking. I don't think a single content creator that covered this game negatively in the, you know, years of waiting for a game you repeatedly delayed. Well done on that one, by the way. Those delays really worked in your favor for a well-polished game experience. Not a single one of the creators that I saw make these videos, I don't think a single one of them would have still said the game was bad if they logged on and played it and the game was good. I don't believe that that's true. I also don't believe that you can fumble that many eyeballs on your product with 38,000 concurrent players in the first hour. I don't think it's possible to fumble a game that bad if the game's good. I don't care what kind of hate you've got. You're living in a fantasy world if you think people just revere content creators so much that they'll not do something in droves as like a consensus, as a hive mind, just because their you know, favorite content creator or whatever told them they think the game's bad. The game was bad. The reviews were bad. The play numbers were bad. The refunds were bad. And when you tell people we didn't do anything wrong, we gave everyone their money back, when you literally said day one we're closing the studio and paying our debts off with the money you gave us for this game, you can't, bro, you can't. Like, this is all provable. It's on you. At least fucking delete the post if you're going to lie about it. I've got it archived, like, so I'd still pull it up, but at least do that. Fucking hell, there's some comments on this day before closure notice that, oh my god, that's crazy, bro. By the way, I'm not aware of any other game in Steam's history that has ever issued a full refund to everybody no matter what, basically wiping the game off of their platform like a fucking bad stain. I'm unaware of any other game, so you literally made history for being one of the worst games ever on Steam. So trying to blame anybody else for that fact is crazy. The fact is, bro, if you thought you'd done nothing wrong and you thought the game was actually good and it was just the content creators with the problem, you wouldn't have had to have refunded people in droves, would you? You wouldn't have had to do that. That's just, it's fairy tale land, man. I don't understand what you're trying to gain from this, but I honestly think it's going to be multiple more years of watching Fantastic do stuff like this. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully this is the end of it. I don't think it will be. I'm sure there's more brewing behind the scenes. Like I say, they are allegedly developing another game, so they're obviously going to keep blaming everyone else. I guess it was our fault that Prop Night wasn't successful, in your own fucking words as well, isn't it? Like, even though nobody talked about that game and even played it when you baited people into seeing that game instead of, you know, the one that they wanted to see when you announced that originally. But yeah, there we go. Go to Gamersupps, buy Gamersupps, or don't, whatever. You can buy waifu cups. You can buy powder that you put in the waifu cups and drink. Sometimes it has caffeine if you want, and sometimes it doesn't if you don't want. They also sell other stuff. I don't know what, but they do have some other stuff on the website, and you can check that with the link in the video description. You'll get 10% off. I'll get a kickback. Win-win, realistically. And yeah, good to support them because they support me. So thanks for watching. We'll see what happens with Fantastic going forward. This company's fucking... it's the wildest gaming story ever. I can't wait for you guys to see the new video when it's done. It's going to be a long one. I'm going to have to go update the script again for the second time within this last couple of days because this came out. But Yeah, it's a crazy one, guys. And see you next time. Peace.